Welcome everyone to Insight Meditation Community of Charlotte. I'm Clyde, one of the 5 Dharma leaders here. And I want to acknowledge a couple of things tonight. First being that if you're like me, my body clock is still on daylight savings time, so we may be a little bit, tired tonight. The second thing is that we are sharing with our country a time of enormous uncertainty and angst. So I just want us to be aware of that. And so one of the good ways of getting some energy in and to helping support each other is to take this time to kind of open your video and say hello to everybody. So take a chance to kind of scan through and say hello to everybody and see everything. Community is so important, particularly at this point, particularly on today, particularly today. Okay. Tonight we continue our process around the 5 hindrances. And you've heard about the other hindrances up to now. You heard about sensual desire or greed. You heard about aversion or ill will. Last week you heard about sloth and torpor. And tonight we're going to be talking about restlessness and remorse. And next week you'll be hearing about doubt. And just a note ahead of time, next week the talk begins at 7:30. So if you're typically getting a little bit late, the talk will begin at 7:30 and the meditation will be incorporated into that. So be here at 7:30 next week to get the start of the talk. A lot of what I'm going to be talking about tonight comes from a pamphlet called Working with the Five Hindrances by Ajahn Theravada. He's a Theravada Buddhist that is now currently at the Wat Buddha Dharma Monastery in Australia. I'm not sure where he's from originally, but he's moved around. That's where he is now. And when I was looking at this, when he looked at his interpretations, typically this particular topic is called restlessness and worry. And so, and I know it's appropriate for tonight, but this is more about our normal restlessness and worry. But worry is such a big word. Worry could fall into doubt. Worry could fall into aversion. So what he kind of looked at was like restlessness goes together. The other term for this there is remorse, because remorse can be interpreted as remorse, and remorse has a different cause and a different way you work with it. So I'm going to be talking about restlessness and remorse tonight, or R&R. So I'm going to define them, we're going to look at the causes of them, and we're going to look at some ways that we can work with these. So the first thing is restlessness. Other definitions could be agitation, excitement, distraction, which I'm sure we're all experiencing today. The path of purification by Buddhagasa further explains, it is the characteristic of disquiet, like water whipped by the wind. Its function is unsteadiness, like a flag or banner whipped by the wind. It is manifested as turmoil, like ashes flung up by pelting with stones. And it's basically just this idea of being in an over-energized state. It's like the opposite of lethargy, or like what Alexis talked last week about sloth and torpor. This is an over-energized state. It can manifest both physically and mentally. If it's physical, it's just that saying, I can't get settled. I can't, I'm switching around. There's twitching, there's tension somewhere in the body. I just can't get the body settled. Nothing, it just will not get comfortable, won't support myself. Sometimes I just want to jump out of my skin. Mentally, it shows up as this idea of these racing thoughts, go from one thing to the other. There may be some fears about this or that going on. There's also this idea of this judging mind, comparing mind could be going on. We call this kind of the puppy mind. Some people call the monkey mind. It's just going all over the place. We can't focus the mind. We can't settle the mind. The mind just won't settle. So there's not focus. That's how it's going to show up. That's restlessness. Remorse, on the other hand, the definition could be remorse, scruple, or worry. And the path of purification explains it as follows. It has subsequent regret as its characteristic. Its function is to sorrow about what has and what has not been done. It is manifested as remorse. Its proximate cause is what has and what has not been done. So remorse is this concept about something we did or didn't do in the past, a past action, unskillful past action. And we'll sit down and it comes up and we start worrying about, I should have done this, I should have done that, I did that. I start the self-recriminations. Regret, guilt can come up in this one. I'm feeling bad about doing this. But it's basically this thing, I should have and I should not have. So that's the idea about remorse. So what causes this? What causes this energy to come up? Joseph Goldstein, in his book Mindfulness, says that the primary cause of restlessness is an imbalance of concentration and energy. We got too much energy and not enough concentration to harness it. This idea of he says it's as if the energy is spilling over the side of a container, and the container is our concentration, and the energy is just coming out of it. So it's not balanced. We got to find this balance between our concentration and our energy. If we don't have this balance, if it's too less, we fall back into what we had last week, a sloth and torpor. If it's too much, we have this idea of restlessness. We've got to get to this idea of balance between our concentration and the amount of energy that we're bringing to the sit at this moment. So where does all this come from? Where does this energy come from? Most of you probably know where a lot of this energy can come from. It can be physical. It may be that we exercise, we just got through exercise and we have all this energy. Maybe we don't exercise enough and we can't support ourselves comfortably in a sit. And so we're fidgeting all the time. This stimulus, this TVs can cause it, social interaction can cause it, social media can cause it, emails can cause it, things that can come up. A stimulating conversation or something we read, this can cause us to become over agitated and start thinking about these things. Boredom. The mind sometimes wants stimulation. If it gets too bored sitting here focused or gets bored, then it's going to start coming up with something to entertain itself. So even boredom can cause this. Another one is expectations. If we have expectations about what our meditation should be or should be like, either I'm going to be there, I'm not getting enough, I'm not doing enough, I need to do more, this ego gets in. This comes from this idea of impatience. So we're just impatient with the process. And we don't have a good knowledge of the dynamic unfolding of the meditation process. We're trying to make something happen when it's not ready to happen. So we have this expectation, we get this energy built up, and the concentration's not there to contain it. Ajahn Chah has this, he talks about the analogy of the impatient rice farmer. And he's wondering, well, why did this rice not growing fast enough? So he frequently goes around his field and he pulls up the rice to look at the roots. Well, that's not going to get you anywhere. And so the other thing that Joseph Goldstein says could cause restlessness is, and this one's real interesting for today, unwise attention to situations in the world. This doesn't mean that we should be apathetic or non-responsive. Rather, it means we should examine things with the eye of wisdom and see what the appropriate response might be. Mental agitation contributes nothing more than more confusion. St. John of the Cross explicitly expressed this when he said, disquietude is always vanity because it serves no good. Yes, even if the whole world were thrown into confusion and all things in it. Sound familiar? Disquietude on that account would still be vanity. I thought this was very hard. And so I went and looked up vanity. What does that mean, vanity? We kind of have an idea, but it's just an inflated profile of pride in oneself. Some of the synonyms: self-conceit, self-glory, self-opinion, self-importance, self-admiration, self-congratulations. A lot of selfing going on when it comes to this. So a lot of these things can cause us to be restless. Remorse, on the other hand, comes from this idea where we're dwelling on past unskillful actions. We're sitting there and all of a sudden this worry, regret, guilt comes, things we should have done, things we didn't do. And this could be big things like I should have taken this job, I shouldn't have moved to this city, I should have married someone else, down to, well, last week they didn't charge me this for my drink at the restaurant and I didn't do anything about it. I didn't say anything. So I'm sitting there ruling over what, I didn't do something right, or I did something, I should have done something. If only I had done this. So it's this more about, when we talk about remorse, we're talking about past actions. Like I said, worry comes across all of this, kind of covers all this. And he even puts worry in with doubt and with aversion. But when we talk about remorse here, we're talking about something we've kind of done in the past and it's coming up. And then we get energized and energetic about it. So those are some of the ways in which this restlessness can kind of come up, as remorse can come up to affect our meditation as a hindrance. So how do we work with this? When I was looking at this, it kind of presented itself to me that when we're talking about remorse, we're talking about restlessness, there are things we can do prior to sitting down, as we begin to sit, and in our meditation. So we can kind of look at it in these different ways. Before we sit, as we do our daily lives, we want to take care of ourselves. We want to do the proper exercise for us, what we can do. We want to get adequate sleep. You may think, well, slop and torpor. Sometimes if I don't sleep, my mind gets so agitated it can't settle on anything. Eating can be a factor about this. If we sit down and eat, or we haven't eaten, it's going to cause our body to be uncomfortable, to not get settled, or we've eaten too much, so a proper diet. Another thing we can do to help, we're trying to help guide the body and the mind into this. Have a space at home where you can sit. This is a calm and safe place to go sit. This is where I can go to be calm. I didn't need to be bringing restlessness to here. Have a place that you could have. Have a time that you sit, a specific time that works for you, for your schedule, for your body rhythms. Some people can meditate in the morning. Some people are too active in the morning. Some people can meditate at night. Some people will fall asleep at night. Find this time that works for you. I have to be real careful that I don't rush into the meditation. Oh, if I got a few minutes, let me go meditate. I struggle with that. We want to sit and meditate, but if I come in with this and I don't get enough time, if I rush into it, I'm naturally going to be restless because I'm going to be thinking about what I should be doing. One person recommended if you're dealing with something personal now or something before you meditate, you may want to journal about it. and journal for a little bit and put it up and say, okay, I'll put it over here for right now. You kind of unload that thing that's going to cause you restlessness into the book. So we kind of prepare ourselves for doing this, for restlessness. How do we get into it? Then as we begin to sit, as we come into the sit, we found a calm place. We've got a time for doing this. This is our place that we do this. Is safe. Some monks start out doing chanting. You may want to find a chant that you like to do to help you calm the mind and body. A devotional reading may be appropriate, a poem, not something that's going to get you all excited, but something that's going to become more devotional. Some type of ritual may work. You may want to light a candle, light incense, some bowing before as you start to sit. I've started in mine is to take the refuges. You know, I take the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha as I sit down and start. I take the refuges and also repeat the 5 daily reflections. I'm of the nature to grow old. I'm of the nature to be sick. I'm of the nature to die. I'm of the nature to lose those near and dear to me. And I'm the owner responsible for my actions. So what you're doing there, and then as you sit, you begin to calm. You want to set your intention just like we did. And what you're doing there, you're kind of telling this active mind that this is the time we're going to sit. This is the time to sit. You're trying to bargain, say, I'm going to sit. We're going to do that, 30 minutes or 20 minutes from now. You can do what you want to do. For right now, this is the time for us to be focused. We want to kind of think of any bodily action, speech, or thought which can help settle and center the mind as we go into this. So now we're in our meditation. We're sitting there, and we go, okay, we're awareness. Awareness is always important. There's still this restlessness. We want to investigate it. Is it in the body or is it in the mind? We also want to investigate it to see if it's another hindrance is present. If you're doing something like you're fantasizing about something or you are obsessing about something in particular, that may be one of the other hindrances. If you're angry about something, which I think may be coming up for a lot of people in these days, that's anger and ill will. And you want to look at those remedies and apply those. When we're working with restlessness and remorse, we're talking more about energy levels than we are thoughts. Even though our thoughts may be racing from here to there, we're not focused on any one thing. The other hindrances seem to focus us on one thing, and we need to work with that. We can name it as restlessness. The mind's, I've said before and gone, my mind's restless today. It's going to be restless. We want to realize it's impermanent. It's not mine. And it's caused by different things. It's a causal thing. It's just coming and going. But I've named it. It's impermanent. We want to make it the object of our meditation. If we can't, if it's not going away, we want to channel. It's some extra energy, and we want to kind of channel that energy. So I want to watch it. I want to see what it's doing. I want to be aware of it. We can try counting, something we recommend in here. You count up to 8 or 10 and back, and do that a few times and come back to your breath. We're constantly coming back to our breath, constantly coming back to our breath. The mind may operate, come back to the breath. We're trying to calm the mind. If it shows up in the body, we may want to do a body scan. Where is it that I'm not relaxed? Where is this tension in my body? Where can I kind of go through my body and see where that is and kind of breathe into that and let it go and see if that can help you kind of settle the body if it's a physical restlessness. For both mental and physical, you can open your eyes. That helps stop the process. And I'm not sitting here in the darkness trying to do that. I just take my eyes and stop it. Maybe the mind will kind of break it for a moment. Another thing that you could do if you're very agitated, and maybe good during these times, is a guided meditation. If you just can't get the mind quiet enough to do a silent meditation, consider having some guided meditations close at hand. and let someone guide you through. There's a lot of them online. Let someone guide you through a meditation right now that may get you through this period of restlessness. If it gets too physical, you can always get up and do a walking meditation. Okay, this is the body's not just going to sit here. Let me get up and do a walking meditation and see if that will help calm this physical body. Like I said, here we're trying to do things to help take and kind of calm the mind. We want to build up this concentration. And we're working a lot with this energy versus the thoughts, with the energy. With remorse, see, remorse has kind of a different thing here. And this is going back to John Therodamo. Freedom from remorse results from maintaining wholesome moral conduct. We talked about sila in here. And the benefit of non-remorse is gladness. In the Buddhist teaching, it is recognized that acknowledging one's faults and making appropriate amends is very beneficial. It is very helpful psychologically to be able to bring the apparent causes of remorse into full consciousness and absolve them or atone for them. This allows a clearing of our conscious and calming of the related disturbing thoughts. This is something we're all kind of familiar with. If it's not going to let you off the hook, but it can kind of give you, I need to atone for this. If I've done something wrong to someone, how can I make that amend? What can I do to amend that so that I'm not sitting there feeling guilty or remorse about something? This is a good time. Some of the practices that we're familiar with of compassion, self-compassion, maybe you can't correct what you did, but you know that it was wrong, but you can't correct it. Bring some self-compassion. You could bring some loving kindness meditation for yourself. You could also do a forgiveness meditation. And all three of those are available to us. Sharon Salzberg's book, Loving Kindness, has those. The forgiveness meditation is where I just say to myself, if I've harmed anyone, I ask their forgiveness. If anyone's harmed me, I forgive them. And if I've done any harm to myself, I forgive myself. So there's some things we can kind of work with there to help alleviate this more. Like I said, it doesn't let us off the hook. We can still atone for those or make amends for those, but this is stuff that's happened kind of in the past. The other thing that we can do to really work with with meditation is to continue for this restlessness is to continue to practice. The idea here being that our concentration is not strong enough right now. And it's the more we practice and the more we build this ability to concentrate, the less these things can knock us off balance. And that's what we're going for. We want our energy and our concentration to be kind of equal. And the more we work with getting our concentration built up, the more better we can contain whatever energy we're bringing to the sit. So I'm going to end with Ajahn Therodamo's talk about all the hindrances. The hindrances are different aspects of our self-identity. They are 5 symptoms of grasping at aspects of selfhood conditioned by ignorance and craving. Or simply stated, they are 5 ways in which our self expresses itself negatively. It also expresses itself by their opposites: generosity, loving kindness, energy, tranquility, which is the one for restlessness, and confidence. If we can skillfully engage and work wisely with the hindrances, they can be transformed into increasing self-awareness, self-knowledge, and self-liberation. So now we have some time for questions. You are able to chat those in, or if you know how to raise your hand, I can unmute you and you can ask that question. I'll read the announcements until anything comes up. We have a volunteer event. The Second Harvest Food Bank is on November the 14th from 9 to 12. It's on the website. You can contact Laura DeFreya. I believe they have social distancing set up, able to do that there. The annual survey, I believe, is going to come out in the next week or so. So when you get a separate email for that, please respond. I know the board uses that to plan different things the year. Next week, remember that the talk will start at 7:30 and the meditation will be incorporated into that. So be sure to be here at 7:30 next week. On November the 18th, which is 2 weeks from today, we have a guest leader, Mark Number, will be with us via Zoom that evening. So be sure and be here for that. A lot of this is on our website, imccharlotte.org. We have an instruction period at 7 o'clock on Wednesday evening. If you know anybody that's particularly during this time that would like to learn how to meditate, learn how we do this. Are there any other any non-IMCC announcements or announcements that I might have missed? Great question, Nikki, about being, and I did talk specifically about being on the cushion here tonight. All the hindrances can be done, are lived on and off the cushion. We work with them on the cushion. We work with them because we can work with them on the cushion while we're there. It's because we work with them on the cushion like this, what that does is that strengthens our mindfulness. So we apply mindfulness to this. We could do the same thing if I'm off the cushion and all of a sudden I get into my mind starts getting this energy and going all this way. I can do the same thing. I could take a moment to breathe. I could count. I can stop for a moment. I can look and I can see it happening. And then I can come back to the breath for a moment, or I could focus on one particular thing. There you can come back, you could ground yourself in your body. It's a great way. My feet, right? If you're standing in line somewhere doing something, all of a sudden you get fidgety or something, ground yourself in your feet. Just come back to your feet. It's a neutral place. Come back to that. There's all the kind of the same tips you use on the cushion you can use. For this one, you can kind of use off the cushion. But it's that mindfulness, applying the mindfulness to it so we don't get caught up and lost in all this. We can see it happening as it happens. And then we can kind of try to be less reactive. We can continue if you want to. If you have the capability, we do take online donations at imccharlotte.org. Donna, we continue to accept those during this time period. I think that's all the announcements that I have. And I don't see any other questions. I'm sure that people are have some restlessness today. And that includes worry at this point. I'm going to probably do something. I'm going to, if we don't have any other questions, that's fine. I'm going to unmute everybody. and try to. Oops. Okay. I've allowed you to unmute yourself. If you'd like to stop and say hello, this is a special night. We're going to hear background, and then we'll mute back when I do the closing, when we do, after we do closing.
Hi, everyone.
Hey,
everybody.
Hugs all around.
Yeah.
We're gonna have Meta also.
Hi.
Okay, we'll do our Meta.
Hi.
Happy election returns.
Oh, no. Hi, Joy.
Thank you, Clyde.
Thank you, Clyde. Yeah, thank you so much, Clyde.
Thanks.
You're more than welcome. I'm going to mute
Thank
you
you.
back.
Thanks. Good to see everybody.
Right, I'm going to mute you all as when we do our as we close, and I'll unmute you again at the end. So for our closing tonight, for our meta, we're not going to do meta tonight. We're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to read something. So I want everybody to get comfortable like you're in a meta position, like you were going to do meta. But this was done by Jack Cornfield, and I believe he did it 4 years ago. It's called Practicing the Dharma in Uncertain Times. So take a moment to kind of breathe, get centered, and I'm going to read this and just let yourself listen to this. This is one of those, what I think one of those devotional readings that I'm talking about that would help settle and calm the mind. When times are uncertain, difficult, fearful, full of change, they become the perfect place to deepen the practice of awakening. After reviewing the elections, whatever your point of view, take time to quiet the mind and tend to the heart. Then go out and look at the sky. Remember vastness. There are seasons to all things. Gain and loss, praise and blame, expansion and contraction. Learn from the trees. Practice equanimity and steadiness. Remember the timeless Dharma amidst it all. Think of the best of human goodness. Let yourself become a beacon of integrity with your thoughts, words, and deeds. Integrity in speech and action, virtue, and non-harming bring blessings. Remember the noble truths, no matter the politics or the season. Greed, hatred, and ignorance cause suffering. Let them go. Love, generosity, and wisdom bring the end of suffering. Foster them. Remember the Buddha's counsel. Hatred never ends by hatred, but by love alone is healed. This is the ancient and eternal law. The human heart has freedom in itself to choose love, dignity, and respect. In every circumstance, embody respect and cultivate compassion for all. Let yourself become a beacon of Dharma. Amidst the changes, shine with courage and trust. Love people. This is your world. Plant seeds of goodness and water them everywhere. Then blessings will grow for yourself and for all. Please take care of yourself during this time. Please practice. Please reach out when needed. And I'll unmute you again. You can unmute yourself.
Clyde, can you tell us where you got that reading from? Is there a way we can access it? That was beautiful.
You can, if you go to Jack Kornfield's website, and if you type in practicing the Dharma at uncertain times, this will come up.
Yeah.
I also like to go out and watch the birds.
That's a,
Mm-hmm.
I think anything in nature during this time. I went on a bike ride today.
So happy and cheerful.
Mhm. Anytime you can do today, anything you can get outside is great.
I find lately that when I'm out bird watching, I go off the trail on the greenway and find a quiet place near the creek or in the woods. And if you just stay still for a few moments, it's amazing the things that will appear. I saw an 8-point buck the other day. I saw several varieties of different birds that are migrating through right now. And it's really sweet. It always reminds me of meditation.
I would like to share can y'all hear me? Yes. I'd like to share a quote that I learned this past week from our very own Debbie George, which defines worry, which I've thought about multiple times every day since then. Worry is using the imagination to create what you don't want. Isn't that perfect?
I like that, yes. Oh.
If you all have a bath, don't forget to take a bath. Soak and relax.
Or go to Debbie's house.
And I think one of the main things for me working with my thoughts and my mind and hit the hindrances is that they're not a problem. They're just visiting, and you can just kind of greet them and just let them go, and don't think you have to get into any altercation with any thought pattern or mind state. It's just coming through. Just get out of the way.
Good advice.
Thank you, Clyde.
Awesome.
I love seeing everybody with their pets.
Mine comes for attention as soon as I sit down to meditate.
Look cute, but they're really saying, will you turn that thing off and pay attention to me?
I had to give mine a bone so he would go to another room and not bark.
I think my
I had
kitty
to have my mute. I couldn't not mute mine.
my kitty was really listening to you, Clyde.
Aww.
There you go. Everybody.
How are you doing, Clyde? How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm
Good.
doing very well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, like I said, trying to get outside and enjoying nice weather when we have it, and meeting with friends when I have the opportunity to do that socially, distancing and stuff. So that's always, like I said, taking care. Sleep is good now because I go to sleep at 10 o'clock, thinking it's 11 o'clock. So yeah, so I think it's important for, to take care of ourselves during this time. We're in unprecedented times. Not only, I didn't even mention that there's a pandemic still going on, so along with everything else. So it's important that there's a lot of things that can disturb us and disturb our meditation now. So it's important that we do take care of ourselves. All these other things that we do take care of ourselves along with our practice during this time. Yeah, very important. And Sangha community is important. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, and we will get through all this. It's all impermanent. And that's another thing we can do is to reflect upon some of the teachings. I didn't mention that in here because it just got too much, but if you're sitting there and you're restless, you can reflect upon impermanence, or reflect upon unsatisfactoriness, or these things that the Buddha's teach, and you can reflect upon those, and those kind of help calm the mind too. This will pass, that type of thing. So I think we have a lot of the tools to work with. We've been working with a lot of them here. You've been working with a lot of them every time you sit down. And they're very needed at this point in time, I think.
Thanks again, everyone. It was great to see you.
Yep. Good to
Bye.
see everybody.
You too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.